Chris Smith winning down at the Vitality Stadium, the new WBO Cruiserweight champion. Gareth A.Davies, the talkSPORT fight pundit, is there. Hello. Speak to us. Are you with us?
I am indeed. Good afternoon, Sam.
Good afternoon to you as well. I know you two were down at the Vitality.
Yep.
How was it on Saturday night?
It was a fantastic atmosphere. I mean, I saw Simon. We did a little vignette together, and he was absolutely spot on. He picked instinctively Chris Smith to do it at home. I watched it. I mean, I picked Okolie myself to win by late stoppage, and was obviously wrong. But when I watched the fight back yesterday, and having watched it back, my feeling is that Marcus McDonnell should have actually disqualified Lawrence Okolie by about 7 or 8 rounds. I mean, I was taken up in the kind of atmosphere, the balmy atmosphere on the night. Obviously, we were doing live commentary and we were scoring it. Okolie was winning some of the rounds, but there were 5 points taken off for the 3 knockdowns and the 2 points for the holding. But when I look back on it yesterday, honestly, I got to about round 7 and I was screaming at the TV on the second time of watching it, thinking, no, Marcus, you should have actually disqualified Lawrence.
Explain why. Because of the grappling?
Yeah, it was just relentless. I think there was something like 9 warnings during the fight, and it was just too much. When you go back in the day, Simon will remember this, so people like Mills Lane, the referee that never accepted things like that. And if you remember Lennox Lewis and Henry Akinwande back in the day, Akinwande didn't want to fight. He was disqualified. That's really what should happen, because, again, without wanting to take away anything from being involved on the night, I just think it's one of the worst world title fights I've ever seen in terms of what happened in terms of holding and grappling, consistent holding and grappling in the ring on the night. Smith, rightfully the champion.
And that's what happens, isn't it? You have this big fight. The atmosphere was mild down at the Vitality Stadium, as you were saying.
All the fans went mild, yeah.
But when you have a spectacle that you're looking forward to, and then that's what you get served up, it turns people off, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it won't so much because obviously Chris Smith was a home fighter, came into a very good atmosphere, and did a job and got the outcome that all the fans inside the stadium would have wanted. And they saw other fights in there. Sam Egerton put up a great performance in stopping Joe Pickford the fight before. So there was Gareth's absolutely right. The quality of the fight wasn't great, and the manner in which Lawrence elected to behave, which has been a constant thing with him, brought about a situation where I was saying to Ben Shalom during the fight, he's going to get disqualified soon if he's not careful. But the very nature of Chris Smith coming through, when you look at the disadvantages that he had, you look at the size of Okolie compared to Chris you look at the wingspan difference, but that wasn't a great fight. It was a great outcome for Chris Smith, and there's not a nicer kid around to win a world title. I think Gareth would attest to that. Yeah. But it wasn't quality. It wasn't a quality fight. It was an emotional evening. If that had been in the O2 or in London, people would have been booing because the quality wasn't there. But because it was the nature of a circumstance with the home fighter potentially going to win a world title. And, I mean, what did you make of Okolie? I mean, I thought he came in, Gareth, he was so loose and so relaxed, it was almost like he was leaning back.
Yeah, definitely. It was a very strange performance from him. I think what's happened is his smash and grab style, as I've called it for a while, where he throws a jab, moves in 2 steps and holds, and he's done it now consistently in his career. And up to this point, no one really had been able to put a dent in him. Was slightly exposed by the boxing of David Light, the Australian, in his last fight. But what Chris Smith did, knowing Lawrence, having sparred hundreds of rounds with him because they were stablemates under trainer Shane McGuigan, was exposed his style. And the problem is for Lawrence now, even though he's called the rematch, is that he'll get called out by every referee now. And I fear for him that he will not be able to change his style at this age. I dare to think what the rematch is going to look like.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.